our faith in fundamental principles of peace, justice, and human rights.
Poverty, illiteracy, disease, and inequality do not belong in the 21st century.
The United Nations is an international organization founded in 1945. It is currently made up of 193 member states. The mission and work of the United Nations are guided by the purposes and principles contained in its founding charter. On the 14th of May 1963, the state of Kuwait joined the United Nations, thereby becoming the 111th United Nations member state. The state of Kuwait agreed to uphold the preamble of the UN Charter and to advance the causes of global peace and social justice. To mark this occasion, His Highness the Emir of the State of Kuwait, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah, Minister of Foreign Affairs at the time, attended a flag-raising ceremony of the State of Kuwait at the United Nations headquarters. After the span of 50 years, Kuwait has upheld this commitment through its generous support and active engagement with the UNHCR and the other UN agencies. Due to the powers vested in its charter, its unique international character, the United Nations can take action on the issues confronting humanity in the 21st century, such as peace and security, climate change, sustainable development, human rights, disarmament, terrorism, humanitarian and health emergencies, gender equality, food production, and more. The United Nations Sustainable Development Summit for the adoption of the Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals was held during 3 historic days in New York, 25th to the 27th of September 2015.
We need action from everyone, everywhere. 17 Sustainable Development Goals are our guide. They are a to-do list for people and planet and the blueprint for success.
The United Nations Development Programme works in nearly 170 countries and territories, helping to eradicate poverty, reduce inequalities, and build resilience so countries can sustain progress. As the UN's development agency, UNDP plays a critical role in helping countries achieve the Sustainable Development Goals.
SDGs, it is specifically designed to be universally applicable. It is a universal agenda. The SDGs that address the impact of climate change and environmental degradation, for example, clearly illustrate how all members of the global community have a stake in ensuring sustainable development and how they have the opportunity, everybody has the opportunity to contribute to make and to protect our planet for the benefit of future generations.
The 17th UN General Assembly adopted an expansive and ambitious set of development goals that aim to end poverty in all its forms by 2030. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, will succeed the Millennium Development Goals, MDGs, as the UN's chief initiative for the advancing basic living standards in the world and addressing a range of issues, including armed conflict, climate change, and equality. The SDGs are a set of 17 goals comprising 169 targets and indicators for reducing poverty and improving environmental sustainability.
country will decide for itself what are the priority SDGs that require particular efforts to ensure their full achievement, and how best to adapt the targets of the SDGs to the national development context in order to ensure that the SDGs are effectively realized.
UNDP is present in almost 170 countries in different forms and shapes, depending on the priority and the development needs of the specific country. We in Kuwait, we are one of those 170 country network. In every country that we are present, we try to promote the national development priorities related to the countries we are operating in. In other countries, for example, the bulk of the work of UNDP is to try to reduce inequalities, reducing poverty, providing technical and policy advice to the governments we are serving, trying to promote and support climate change agenda, trying to support the democratic governance agenda, and trying most and foremost to promote the sustainable development agenda. Kuwait has been, working systematically to support other countries in the region and other countries in the globe during the time of crisis.
To protect refugees and persons of concern worldwide. These days, with the number of refugees and persons of concern and IDPs reaching a total number of 65 million, the international responsibility is increasing, and the need for solid partners, solid international humanitarian partners like the state of Kuwait is key and important. In the region, we have the highest number of refugees worldwide, with the Syrian refugee crisis reaching almost 5 million refugees. This number has been the biggest since World War II, and the level of the human tragedy and the needs is increasing.
And I believe that such kind of recognition come not just like that, it come because of a continuous effort over decades that Kuwait has been doing to support the world and support cities in the world and support people in need in the world. And I can actually remember one remarkable programs, which is actually the support of the housing of refugees, where UN Habitat has been involved in with other member agencies in a joint program. Part of its funds came from Kuwait, is the housing of the refugees and IDPs in a number of cities and towns of Lebanon, in collaboration with the municipalities there in Lebanon and United Nations sister agencies. We were able to house more than hundreds of families and children who were actually in desperate need to this shelter.
Kuwait can also optimize the impact of its development assistance overseas by aligning its assistance programs to the SDGs. So that is another way how the state of Kuwait can use the SDG framework in order to get greater impact from its development assistance. UNDP has a broad development agenda, so it can provide support on a number of SDGs. UNICEF has an agenda geared towards children, so it can support national efforts to promote and protect child rights and efforts in a broad range of areas. UNEP, the United Nations Environmental Program, has an agenda which is around environment and sustainable development. So it can provide support specifically on the environmental protection related SDGs. I'm very pleased to note also that the relevant Kuwaiti authorities have demonstrated a very positive willingness to engage with the United Nations and its various organs to provide technical assistance, outreach, and advocacy for SDG implementation. So that is to say that over the past year, we have been working with the Kuwaiti authorities in furthering the national implementation of the Sustainable Development Goal.
Initiative to support the public authority for manpower, and we're doing this jointly with ILO and with IOM in order to address all the technical aspects that the public authority for manpower would require in order to achieve the specific goals and the SDG related targets. This universal framework of Agenda 2030 really addresses all aspects of development.
It is the action and the implementation tool for cities to guide them on how to improve their cities along and across the lines of the Sustainable Development Goals. Having said that, there is different responsibilities on UN Habitat that was put by the member states to coordinate and to monitor the implementation and actually the reporting on the progress in developing cities aligned with the new urban agenda.
These are stories that change lives. This is not something that you do and is forgotten about the next day. We're quite happy and proud of having this very important partnership with the government of Kuwait to provide such essential services to people that really need it very much.
A leading role has been played by Kuwait in mobilizing the international support and creating doing the three international conferences, and also taking part, co-chairing the 4th International Conference for Syrian Refugees. During these years, Kuwait has contributed $330 million to UNHCR specifically. It has helped to the international community as well to mobilize more than $7 billion, and Kuwait itself up till this year has mobilized almost $2 billion to support the United Nations in these and pledged almost $2 billion to support the United Nations agencies in general, including, as I've mentioned, a total of $330 million to support UNHCR specifically.
In this gigantic project, I mean, it's so many essential services were provided to very vulnerable populations. types of the support that were received by Syrians specifically, transportation to schools, for example, which is it could be seen as something small, but it's a life changer for many of the Syrian refugees that are specifically in areas in neighboring countries to Syria.
The deep appreciation and esteem of the United Nations for the generous leadership of His Highness the Emir, of the Humanitarian Leadership Award presented to His Highness by the United Nations Secretary General in recognition of the critical role that His Highness has played in galvanizing global efforts to provide essential humanitarian assistance for the victims of the Syria crisis.
Kuwait's leadership and funding has saved tens of thousands of lives and has galvanized others to participate in coordinated international action. It is good to know that we can count on Kuwait's generosity and particularly His Highness Emir of Kuwait. Such solidarity and generosity is needed more than ever. I urge more states in the world to come forward with assistance.
إن هذا التكريم الذي حظينا به هو تكريم لأهل الكويت وتقدير لمسيرتهم الخيرة بالبذل والعطاء والممتدة منذ القدم والتي ستظل مستمرة إن شاء الله.
Kuwait has already made a lot of progress in that area of work, especially with the naming of His Highness the Emir as the humanitarian leader, and this is an honorable nomination that has never been given to any leader before and not to any Arab leader before.
All these projects and all those people that have been supported could not have happened without the willingness and the support of the government of Kuwait. It's very easy to come up with good ideas, but what makes it very difficult is having the right environment to harvest those good ideas. I believe that the government of Kuwait has laid a platform, an environment that helps us harvest those good ideas. So we're very thankful and we're very pleased to continue this very important relationship.
ولقد حرصت دولة الكويت على تحمل مسؤولياتها الإقليمية والدولية تجاه تحقيق الأهداف الإنمائية والعمل على تعزيزها ومعالجة قضاياها بإيجابية وفعالية. تبقى الأمم المتحدة الآلية المثلى لمناقشة ما يواجه العالم من تحديات ومخاطر، وأن نجاحنا في تحقيق التنمية المستدامة في إطارها يؤكد مسؤولياتنا حيال عالمنا المعاصر.